agency ay nagsusuot din ng mga PPEs, yung mga disinfection natin, mayroon na rin po tayong rationalized work arrangement. So lahat po nito ay ginagawa po ng ating DOTR sa pangunguna po ni Secretary Tugade upang po masigurado na ang ating mga kawani po sa DOTR at ang kanyang yung mga disinfection natin, meron na rin po tayong rationalized work arrangement. So lahat po nito ay ginagawa po ng ating DOTR sa pangunguna po ni Secretary Tugade upang po masigurado na ang ating mga kawani po sa DOTR at ang kanyang attached agencies ay safe at ganoon rin po ay para tuloy-tuloy po ang ating serbisyo publiko, Mr. President. So yun lang po ang aking report, Mr. President, sa ngalan po ni Secretary Tugade. Salamat po.
Thank you. Si Secretary Tugade is not sick. Nag-isolate lang.
Thursday, Thursday na ganyan.
Ang problema sa iyong pamilya. Kailangan kawaan nga lahat itong buang na to si Omicron.
Ang na-Omicron.
Let me see Chairman Abalos. Yes,
Magandang hapon po, Mr. President.
President, is your territory.
Yes, sir. Senator Bongo, PSC Jaldía, sa lahat po mga cabinet secretary, fellow government workers, mga kababayan, magandang gabi po. Slide, please. Okay. Sir, nag-load po po yata yung slide, no? Okay. Siguro, sir, ipapakita ko kasi talaga yung taas ng kaso sa NCR. Pero ang gusto kong i-diit dito ay yung ilang percent na na-hospital ang walang bakuna. No? There are about 85% yung mga walang bakuna po. At yung kung namang mga fatality o yung mga namamatay po, ang recorded is about 93%. No? So nakita po, na-explain po ng mga experts, nakita po natin ang record. So di ako nagkakamali ng December 27, 500 lang po ang kaso. 500. Ngayon po, 17,000 na, sir. So yung tanong niyo po kanina, bakit ganun? Ako personally, tingin ko po siguro po nung holiday, reunion, wala po tayong mga maskara. Siyempre, kakain po tayo. So, malamang, kinukumpute yung intubation hindi ko naglalayo, sir. Tapos pumasok pa itong Omicron. It's one of the facilities lang po. But in any case, nakakatakot po sa mga walang bakuna. Kaya po ang mga alkalde ng Kalakang Maynila, dahil po rito, ay nagkaisa. At lahat po bumoto. Nagkaisa po. Matasahin ko lang po. Urging the Metro Manila local governments to enact their respective ordinances on the enhanced vaccination restrictions to regulate the mobility of the unvaccinated individuals in the National Capital Region. So ang nangyayari po yung mga walang bakuna, sir, ay it's as if sa bahay lang sila. Yung po ang gagawin na pagkasundoan po ng lahat ng alkalde. Just allow me to read. Apat lang po naman ito, mahal na Pangulo. Number 1, the unvaccinated individuals in the NCR shall, number 1, remain in their residences at all times, except for the procurement of essential goods and services, such as but not limited to food, water, medicine, medical devices, public utilities, and energy work, medical and dental necessities lang po. Provided, however, that individual outdoor exercise shall be allowed within the general area of the residence that is within the barangay, borough, subdivision, or village subject to the guidelines of the Metro Manila. So, yung mga walang bakuna, bawal po talaga lumabas sa bahay, wala na kung bibili na essential o kailangan magpagamot. No? Pero po, pwede naman sila mag-ehersisyo. Number 2, be prohibited the indoor and outdoor al fresco dining in restaurants and other food establishments, and shall likewise be prohibited from leisure or social trips to malls, hotels, event venues, sports, country clubs, and similar facilities in accordance with the guidelines of the Metro Manila local government units and the concerned establishments. Number 3, be prohibited in domestic travel via public transportation by land, by sea, by air, except for the procurement of essential goods and services, such as but not limited to food, water, medicine, medical devices, public utilities, and energy work and medical and mental necessities subject to production of proof to support and justify such travel. Pinakahuli po, and this is just a reiteration po ng ating TFU, sa mga manggagawa naman na walang bakuna, they should be required to undergo an RT-PCR every 2 weeks at their own personal expense and present a COVID-19 negative result prior to being admitted for work on site, consistent with the guideline rules and regulations issued by the IATF and the Department of Labor, provided, however, that in the event the RT-PCR test and the result is or are not immediately available, a rapid antigen test may be utilized in view thereof. Ang dinagdag lang po ng mga alkalde rito, dahil itong high crisis, dumodoble, ang sinabi nila, this resolution shall be enforced and in effect while the COVID-19 alert level in the NCR is at alert level 3 or higher, and shall be automatically lifted once alert level 2 or lower is declared. Kung hindi po ako nakakamali, may mga LGUs na naipasa po ito. Kanina po, may mga ibang LGUs na naghihiring na, kinupo mga materials, na pagkasundo po ng lahat ng alkalde na Maynila na uniform ang gagawin po nila ordinansa dito. Ito po yung ilang proteksyon na rin sa mga walang mga bakuna, Mr. President. Ganun po. At of course, ang pinakahuli mo siguro masasabi ko, wala lang yung, ganun pala yung kanina. Wala yung Mr. President, negative 51 noong December 18, nag-285 hanggang December 31, in 1 day nag-501. In 2 days ng 1,095% ang growth rate, biglang pumatak ng 3,400 ng February 6. Next please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Tinan mo ang ADA. Noong December 5.63, pumalo po ng 5.55. Siguro mo talaga yung kapaskuhan nung nag-holiday na wala mga mask, 3.76, bigla pong halos at times 6 ng 18.53 ang average daily traffic. Next, please. Next. Ito po ang active take-offs. Pakibalik lang, pakibalik lang. Pakibalik lang, please. Okay. Tignan nyo, sir, ito po yung sinasabi ko yung December 27 na 570 cases lang. So siguro kung nagkita nung December 24, no, yung bisperas ng Pasko, ayan po, biglang pumataw ng 15,000, nag-17 pa na. Ito yung mga kaso na binibigay sa amin ng mga city health workers. So dito po natin makikita talagang siguro part nito ay gumaliw yung Omicron doon sa kapaskuhan na nagtipon-tipon ng mga pamilya. Next please. Next. Ito po yung pinaka-importante sa lahat at sana ito po maunawaan. Pakibalik lang, please, pakibalik. Na 85 of those severe and critical are unvaccinated. Ito yung pinaka-critical sa lahat. Talagang sa Metro Manila po, marami nakakasakit, maski may bakuna dahil 105% na po kami eh. Ngunit, yung severe and critical, 85% walang bakuna, Mr. President. At 93% na namamatay ay unvaccinated. This is the DOH record, sir. Next, please. Kung kaya, ito ho, maski nung holidays, lahat po ng mayor, sila Secretary Beans, Sec Anyo, sila Sec Talvez, sila Sec Charlie, mga sekretary po, nakatrabaho po kami. Minomonitor na po namin ito. Noong 28, noong January 2, no, maski pagkatapos po ng bagong taon. Next, please. Next. So, ayun po yung binasa kong resolusyon, kaya ginawa po namin ito sana maunawaan. Kanina may nag-i-interview, magdidemanda raw sila because of human rights. Pero sana maunawaan nila, we are restricting the mobility ng walang bakuna precisely for their protection. No? At nasabi ko nga po kanina ni Secretary ni Dr. Edsel na yung mga variants, mas madami doon sa mga walang bakuna, sir. Next, please. Next. So, bukod po rin, sir, kinuha namin, pinaghandaan pa namin noong pa ang kinakailangan namin, ang mga test kits. Ito, nagpapasalamat po kami kay Secretary Vince Dizon dahil sapat po ang aming testing kits po sa ngayon, mga RT-PCR. Next, please. Ang Department of Labor, maraming salamat, Secretary Bello, napakabait mo. Expired na po ang aming contact tracers. Pero nirenew ko agad ng Secretary Bello, of course, si Secretary Anyo, no, kasama na po ang sa DNLG at sa DOH. Nagsabi po sila, titignan po nila po at agad po nila magawa. Kasi yung po importante, yung po mga contact tracers. Yung facilities, tignan niyo po ito, Mr. President, yung kasagsagan ng Delta. Nag-rentang facilities namin, 65% puno. Pero ang Omicron, 95, ngayon pala, nagsisimula mo ng Omicron, pero halos kalahati na po ay halos puno na. O kaya dahil dito, next please. Next. Ito po yung mga LGU isolation na talagang bituhay ulit ng mga mayors, no? Yan po sa iba-ibang lugar. Next. Next. Next, please. Okay. So, ayan. So, dahil mapupuno na po ito, ito po yung dati na namin ginagawa. Ito po approve, pakibalik lang, pare. Pakibalik lang, please. At nawala. Yung po nasa kaliwa, yung tinatawag namin, pakibalik lang, please. Pakibalik. Okay. Ito po yung home care na tinatawag yung nasa TV po, no? Home care guide. Na kung saan, hindi, pakibalik lang, please. Pakibalik. Importante lang para makita ng Presidente. Okay. Ito po yung ginawa ng DOH na rest bakuna ng PhilHealth na kung pwede i-home care ang iba, meron lang parameters. Titigal yung bahay, kung po pwede, pupunta sa barangay at yung mismong health ng barangay, yung voice, barangay emergency room, iti-check. At talagang yung iba ho, pwede na mag-home care. No? So ito po, mapupuno, ito po yung ginagawa, ang home quarantine and isolation. Next please. Next. So ito po ngayon ang importante. Lahat po ng mga mayors po ng Metro Manila ay meron po mga telephone number. Tatawagan po iyan at pwede ma-advise ng telemedicine at pwede mong puntahan kaagad. No? 24 hours po yan yung hotline center ng mga LGUs ng Metro Manila. Next please. So, ito na lang ang final ano po namin. Sa ngayon po, ang napakunahan po natin ay 106% na po. 10.4 million. No? Sa booster shots naman, ang pinatarget po namin ay 763 for January. Ngayon po ay nakaka-727 na po tayo. Maganda na po, right on target. Sa pediatric, ito po yung mga bata. No? Ang target po rito is 1.4 million, nakaka-919 na po tayo na first dose at 804 po na 313. Therefore, time pa rin po kami dito dahil talaga ang tanging solusyon dito is pinaka-solusyon ay pagbabakuna po. Yun na po, Mr. President. Thank you po.
Maganda yung the steps that you have taken to meet the challenges of our serious problem now. Kung wala na si Secretary Bello.
The estimate of my partner, Secretary Mon Lopez of DTI, ang under alert level 3, Mr. President, we're expecting that there will be 100 to 200,000 workers that will be affected. And when we say affected, Mr. President, ibig sabihin, either mawalan sila ng trabaho temporarily o kaya mababawasan sila ng number of working hours.
But magsingit lang ako sa iyo. Maitanong ko lang, itong 200, para anong lugar to? Metro Manila?
Ito sa NCR, Mr. President, itong dito sa alert level 3 sa NCR, Mr. President.
Well,
Now, Mr. President, in anticipation to the possibility of some of our workers being temporarily
That connection is forged.
Mr. President, in case of war scenario, and upon the passing of Secretary Berna, Mr. President, we allocated 50 million for air workers in the tourism industry. However, Mr. President, in case of war scenario, we may be compelled to allocate 1 billion for workers who will be affected by this level 3. But having said that, Mr. President, we are very happy to report that so far, as of today, only 3,284 workers were displaced nationwide, Mr. President. And this involves 267 business establishments. With respect to the workers affected by the, we call the working arrangement, only 5,762 workers are affected under this flexible working arrangement. Ibig sabihin, nababawasan yung number of hours na, Mr. President. Limbawa, instead of 5 hours o 8 hours a day, gagawin na lang 5 hours a day. Meron din instead of reporting for 5 days a week, ginagawang 3 days a week, nagro-rotate na lang. Ito yung flexible working arrangement, Mr. President. And unfortunately, meron naman din what we call temporarily closed business establishment. Pero po, konti lang ito, Mr. President. Dahil siguro sa leadership ni Secretary Juan Lopez, only 333 business establishment went into temporary closure, Mr. President. So ito po, Mr. President, ang aming pinaghahandaan na kung sakasakali, handa naman ang Department of Labor na mag-provide ng one-time cash assistance sa mga ma-displaced workers. Yun lamang po ang aming report, Mr. President.
Salamat po. But, worst case scenario, sapat na kaya yung 1 billion mo?
Mr. President?
Worst case scenario. So, ang unemployment o apat yan.
Oo, Mr. President.
Kaya nga, kailangan sapat na ba yan? Tulong in the long run. In the long
Kung ako lang naman, Mr. President, itong alert level 3 hanggang January 15 lang naman eh. Ngayon, kung tatagal pa, kaya medyo talagang dadami ang madi-displaced workers. Especially so, kung pinag-uusapan na po yung alert level 4. Ang pinakamalaking dagog dyan, Mr. President, yung ating accommodation and yung restaurant and construction as well as transportation. Malaking dagog sa kanila, Mr. President.
talaga the economic side is getting a heavy whipping dyan sa ano.
Mr. President, okay naman kami. We are prepared for any eventuality kasi maganda-ganda naman ang budgetary allocation na binigyan nyo sa amin, especially doon sa aming programa para sa mga informal workers, yung sa programang TUPAD, Mr. President. Thank you for that.
Kasi kaibigan kita.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Hindi, dahil talaga kailangan ng mga tao, no? Kailangan ng Pilipino workers eh. So, kukunti lang naman yung walang trabaho at this time, Metro Manila. Sige. Okay ka na? Tapos ka na, Bot?
Okay na po, Mr. President.
Well, okay. Salamat, Bot. Secretary Nograles, Carlo, you might have something also to contribute to for today's program.
Yes, I'm gabi, Mr. President, Senator Bongo at ES Medabea sa kasamahan natin sa gobyerno. Mr. President, i-representa ko lang po yung napagkasunduan at napag-usapan namin sa IATF po ninyo. So, ito po yung mga napag-usapan doon. Itong health, yung sa alert level system po natin, meron po tayong i-elevate to alert level 3 dahil sa pagtaas po ng bilang ng mga kaso ng COVID-19 at ito po yung napagdesisyonan po ng inyong IATF na beginning January 9 up to January 15, 2022, iakyat na po natin to alert level 3 ang Dagupan City, yung City of Santiago, ang Province of Cagayan, Olongapo City, Angeles City, the Province of Bataan, Pampanga, Zambales, then Naga City, Iloilo City, Lapu-Lapu City, Batangas Province, Lucena City at Baguio City. Yung sa Lapu-Lapu City, naka-asterisk po yan, Mr. President, dahil gusto rin po natin i-check yan ng DOH na pataasin yung kanilang allocated na hospital beds doon sa kanilang mga hospital sa Lapu-Lapu City, kaya naka-asterisk po yan. At pinag-uusapan na rin po natin ng inyong IATF ang isa pong indicator apart from healthcare utilization rate, which is yung mga hospital beds at ICU beds at mechanical ventilators, ay maaaring isa pang indicator na titingnan natin ay yung ating mga healthcare workers. Kasi gaya ng sinasabi ng mga eksperto natin kanina, mga health experts, and based on the experience sa ground, marami na po sa mga healthcare workers natin ang under quarantine dahil na-expose po sila ng positive cases ng COVID. At meron din po nagkakamild COVID, kaya isolated din po sila. So we have to look at the HCW or healthcare workers natin as isa pang indicator sa pagdedesisyon natin ng alert levels. Next slide. Ito yung sinabi ng FDA kanina, which napag-usapan din po sa IATF. At kami rin po yung nagpapatulong din sa DTI to Secretary Mon Lopez na to actively call on yung mga manufacturers na magparehistro na sa FDA na mga self-administered antigen test kits or yung mga home test kits. Kinakailangan po talaga na dumaan sila sa FDA at bago sila ma-approve ng FDA para may mga options din po for home test kits na pag-usapan sa IATF, Mr. President, na kailangan itong mga home test kits na ito na dadaan sa FDA bago ma-approve is it should be simple to use. Dahil sa home test kits po, hindi po healthcare worker, hindi po doctor or nurse ang gagawa niyan. Kundi yung mga gagamit nito ay nasa loob ng bahay. No? So it's a home test kit. So they have to have ease of use at madaling yung instructions at madaling gamitin. And of course, it has to be accurate. Ito yung sinasabi ni MMDA Chair kanina that we hope to be able also to do this on a nationwide scale, yung policy shifting po natin to home quarantine and isolation para sa asymptomatic at mild cases, lalo na. Pag yung mga conducive na mga homes for isolation and quarantine. So, quarantine po, Mr. President, yan po yung para sa mga exposed sa mga COVID positive. Yung isolation naman po ay para sa mga may COVID pero asymptomatic or mild. And we hope dahil to be able to encourage more people na pag mild at asymptomatic, pag conducive yung homes for home isolation, eh mag-isolate na lang po sa bahay at gagamit na lang po ng telemedicine. Then of course, yung healthcare workers din natin, pinag-uusapan, gaya ng sinabi natin kanina, is we have to consider also the reduction ng mga quarantine at isolation ng healthcare workers natin dahil pag-quarantine sila at naka-isolate sila ng mahaba, ayaw po natin na mangyari na mag-ubusan po tayo ng mga healthcare workers na magmaman ng ating mga hospitals and healthcare facilities. So yung hospital infection prevention and control committees ng mga hospitals, bibigyan po ng DOH ng guidelines, makikipag-ugnayan ng DOH sa mga hospitals to allow them to shorten pag kinakailangan yung isolation and yung quarantine. Yung isolation pag talagang kinakailangan, pati yung quarantine ng mga healthcare workers natin. We will be coming up together with the strategic communications team ng NTF with simplified versions nito mga updated quarantine and isolation protocols para sa healthcare workers lang po. Because we need to ensure that meron po tayong healthcare workers sa ating mga hospital and healthcare facilities. And then of course, reviewing again the price caps ng mga medicines and different test kits. So, can we go directly to the resolutions that we passed sa IAPF? To the tech team, this is the last of this slide, and can we go directly to the resolutions? Hindi na po ito sa resolutions na lang po. So I will be reading, Mr. President, the resolutions that were passed by your IAPF.
Are you finished?
Ito po, just two resolutions lang po, Mr. President. So this is resolution number 156 na pinasa po ng IAPF. Can we go down to the after the this position? So letter A, previous slide. So letter A, yung Hospital Infection Prevention and Control Committee will be authorized. So dito sa mga hospitals, sa Infection Prevention and Control Committees po nila, they will be authorized to implement shortened quarantine protocols of 5 days for fully vaccinated healthcare workers. No? And then in extreme circumstances, yung mga fully vaccinated healthcare workers din po natin na under isolation in extreme circumstances and weighing the risks and benefits, pwede rin pong ma-shorten ang kanilang isolation protocols. But the Department of Health will be coming up with specific protocols kung paano natin ma-implement yan. Then the next page, letter B, yung home isolation, as mentioned kanina, Mr. President, yung home isolation ng mga COVID-19 confirmed individuals na asymptomatic, mild or moderate disease, and home quarantine for close contacts of suspect, probable, or confirmed COVID-19 cases shall be allowed kung conducive isolation. Again, the Department of Health will be releasing strict protocols para ma-implement po ito. This is the first resolution, and then the next resolution, please, tech team. Yung resolution na lang po, Mr. President, on the alert levels. So ito po yung pinakabago na alert level for alert level 3 na in-escalate po natin as announced a while ago. Please go down to the dispositive position, provision.
Sa baba. Sa baba.
Yeah po. Next page po. So under alert level 3 po, beginning January 9 up to January 15, 2022, ang Baguio City, ang Taguban City, ang City of Santiago and Cagayan Province, ang Angeles City, ang Province of Bataan, ang Olongapo City, ang Province of Pampanga and the Province of Zambales, ang Province of Batangas and Lucena City, then Naga City, Iloilo City, and Lapu-Lapu City. But again, Mr. President, sa Lapu-Lapu City, kailangan po ng immediate allocation ng additional dedicated beds for COVID-19. Lahat po ng other provinces, HUCs and ICCs, including NCR, will maintain their current alert level classification, Mr. President. So that's the latest po from your interagency task force. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Secretary Morales. Kung wala na, si Justice Secretary.
Very short, Mr. President. Now, noong last Tuesday during our cabinet meeting, IATF, you appealed to the religious sector, to the religious authorities na kung po pwede po na nilang ituloy yung mga religious mass gatherings this month, particularly yung transgression, celebration of Santo Niño, etc., etc. And although you have conveyed that message on air, you requested also me, in particular, to deliver personally to the hierarchy of the Catholic Church your plea or your request for the cancellation of these activities. So yesterday, Mr. President, I sought an audience with the Archbishop of Manila, and I conveyed your message personally. And Archbishop wanted to also deliver the message to you that he was very pleased and he was very happy that you have kept the lines of communication between the government and the Catholic Church open. He committed to cooperate in these matters pertaining to public health with the government. And he just requested, Mr. President, that it might be necessary for us to beef up the law enforcement units that will be deployed more particularly on January 9, the day of the Feast of the Nazarene, because the Archbishop said that he may not be able to contain or control the huge number of devotees who might insist to come as close as possible to the Catholic Church. And he also, so true enough, Mr. President, this morning, in accordance with his undertaking, he made a public statement to the Catholic followers, especially the devotees of the Nazarene. And he also further requested us if we could help disseminate his statement to the people who might not be reached by his public statement. So marami raw po kasi yan, we're talking about millions and millions of devotees. Baka hindi raw po makarating sa lahat ng kinaukulan yung kanyang panawagan. Kaya po humihiling ng tulong sa atin na kung pwedeng tumulong din po tayo na mag-disseminate yung kanyang panawagan sa mga followers ng Black Nazarene. Kinaman po, Mr. President.
Now, everybody is also put on notice that the Roman Catholic Church has agreed to our suggestion that they forego the celebration. Walang procession sa Black Nazarene. God is always there, is everywhere. you just pray for the country para matulungan ninyo kasi kung mag-congregate kayo, dagdagan ninyo ang problema and it becomes a heavy burden on government. Ayaw naman namin magsita ng tao na sabihin, umalis ka dyan kasi ganon-ganon. That is not a pleasant job. So, spare us, mga kasama ko, yung Black Nazarene procession will not take place. God will understand. He knows the problem. So, magdasal na lang tayo. So, kung wala na, I will continue with the memorandum. And, we are reverting back to a stricter quarantine protocol to minimize mobility and exposure of the coronavirus. Our minimum public health standards shall be strictly enforced and violations shall be dealt with accordingly under the law, especially under Republic Act number 11332 for the mandatory reporting of notifiable diseases and health events in public health concern. To our countrymen, please follow persons in authority who are enforcing the restrictions and public standards. Must ito, must obey. Mandated na ito. Kailangan sumunod. Hindi lang sabihin kung gusto mo. Susunod kasi I said, otherwise you deal with the police or maybe the military on a long stretch. In local communities and barangays, your barangay official, including barangay tanods, are agents of a person and authority. Mali yung sinulat dito, they cannot be considered person. Only the barangay captain is a person in authority. It attaches to the position. Now, yung mga barangay tanod, pati barangay officials, ito ang pulis kasi ng barangay is the tanod. So, ito, they become agents of a person in authority. Kagaya na rin sila ng mayor. Sa akin, tabla tayo ng title. So, if you are appointed by the person in authority, you become an agent of a person in authority. So, kayong mga barangay tanod, trabaho talaga ninyo yan. Now, in progressive areas, yung allowance ninyo maganda man, I think you get a bigger share of the city's fund. Yun namang mga mahirap, tagalugin ko muna na tumulong na lang kayo, kusang loob na lang ninyo, nakikiusap ang gobyerno para tumulong at tatrabahuin niyo yung trabaho ninyo. Sa mga Bisaya, sunod mo sa gobyerno, sunod mo sa inyong barangay captain, kaya naa sila specific order, gikan na rin sa taas, sa ako, padung sa ila, nga naa sila sa poder o ang tanang mga problema na ginatagaan ng solusyon sa gobyerno, inyo pong tumanon in your local barangay. The Metro Manila Council and specific LGUs in NCR have resolved to limit the movement of persons who are unvaccinated. This will be enforced with much concern for public health, above all else. On this note, I appeal once again to our kababayan who are unvaccinated. Yan lang ang problema. Kung unvaccinated ka, hindi sabihin na that you are you are on a force talaga. pinipilit ng gobyerno na talagang nasa bahay ka lang. That is a forced gesture of government. Ay din sumunod kayo o magkawatak-watak itong bayan o magtigas ang ulo ninyo lahat. So, ito ay kung maglabas naman kayo, punta na kayo doon sa ano ba ninyo katakutan na lahat mga kami dito bakunado, wala mang namatay, at least wala pa. Baka mauna ako, pero nagpabakuna ako. Kung hindi talaga you get reinfected or your antibodies is not as good as the others, malat lang. Lalo na mga senior citizens, kung makalakad ka pa, kindly, kung hindi, pagkatapos ng araw, meron bago mag-uwi yung mga yung mga nagbibigay ng injections, you just request one of them to go to the place if the person is not in a position to matanda na. Pero kasi kung matanda, hindi naman sabihin ng bata o matanda, lahat naman tinatamaan. Pero huwag kayong magpanik. Huwag kayong maalarma kasi nandiyan pa naman yung gobyerno, ano ba naman ang at kung yung iba nagbibigay ng medisina, do not buy susubra-subra, huwag mong ramihan kasi yung paracetamol is being used by almost everybody who are sick, and there are plenty of Filipinos who would need it. Most kindly be considerate and do not buy more than what you need. Wala total yung is we're just asking yung mga kumpanya, they're asking for time to make the inventory again. Nagbibigay sila. Sabi ng mga drug companies, walang problema. Yung paracetamol is available. There's enough supply for everybody. We are a strong and resilient nation. And our bayanihan spirit and genuine malasakit, we can prevent another surge from happening. Alam mo, may awa naman ang Diyos. Wala lang there. I still believe na may sarili akong Diyos. My concept of my God, not necessarily yung mga reliyon. Sana makinig kayo sa amin. Total na para man ito sa lahat. Para sa lahat sa inyo. Para sa ating lahat. So, maraming salamat sa inyo pagkikinig.